The phone call came at 7:23 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, exactly 3 weeks before what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I was sitting in my modest apartment sipping coffee and reviewing quarterly reports for Phoenix Hospitality Group, my $2.8 billion empire that my family knew nothing about. "Emma, we need to talk." Dad's voice was stern, businesslike. "Come to the house. Now." I knew this wasn't good. Dad only used that tone when he was about to deliver what he considered important family decisions. The kind where everyone else had already been consulted except me. 20 minutes later, I walked into the familiar living room of my childhood home. Mom sat rigid on the leather sofa, her lips pressed into a thin line. Dad stood by the fireplace like he was addressing a board meeting. My younger sister Jessica lounged in the armchair, scrolling through her phone with that smirk she'd perfected since high school. "Sit down, Emma," Dad commanded, not looking at me. I remained standing. "What's this about?" "Your wedding." Mom's voice was ice cold. "We've made a decision." My heart started racing, but I kept my expression neutral. "What kind of decision?" Dad turned to face me, his jaw set. "We're not paying for this circus anymore." The words hit like a slap. "Excuse me." "You heard me." He crossed his arms. "This whole production you've planned, it's ridiculous. $75,000 for one day? The venue, the flowers, the photographer, it's all excessive." "We agreed on the budget months ago," I said quietly. Jessica finally looked up from her phone. "Yeah, well, that was before we realized how much money you were wasting on stupid stuff." "Like what?" "Like that dress," Mom interjected. $4,000 for something you'll wear once? And those centerpieces. Who needs crystal and gold leaf at a wedding? I took a deep breath. "I've been planning this for 8 months. Marcus and I." "Marcus," Dad interrupted with a sneer. "That's another problem. The guy works at a nonprofit. What kind of future is that? No ambition, no real income." "He's a good man." "Good doesn't pay bills," Mom added. "Maybe this is a sign you should reconsider the whole thing." My chest tightened. "You want me to call off my wedding?" "We want you to be realistic," Dad said. "Find someone who can actually afford the lifestyle you seem to expect. Someone with prospects." Jessica snorted. "Yeah, because living in that tiny apartment and driving a 10-year-old Honda really screams high expectations." The room fell silent. I looked at each of their faces. Dad's stern disapproval, Mom's cold judgment, Jessica's amused contempt. These people had raised me, supposedly loved me, and now they were dismantling the most important day of my life like it was a failed business venture. "So what exactly are you saying?" I asked. Dad walked to his desk and pulled out a folder. "I've already called the venue. Canceled everything. The deposits are forfeited, but at least we're not throwing away the full amount." My stomach dropped. "You canceled my wedding venue?" "Our name was on the contracts," Mom said matter-of-factly. "Legally we had every right." "The caterer too," Jessica added helpfully. "And the photographer." "Oh, and the florist." I stared at them in disbelief. "You canceled my entire wedding without telling me?" "We're telling you now," Dad said. "Consider it a favor. You'll thank us later when you find someone more suitable." "Someone who can afford you," Mom repeated. The room spun slightly. 8 months of planning. The dress I'd fallen in love with. The photographer we'd interviewed 6 different candidates to find. The menu Marcus and I had spent hours perfecting. The flowers that reminded me of my grandmother's garden. All of it, gone. "I can't believe you did this," I whispered. "Believe it," Dad said. "And next time maybe think before you plan something so far beyond your means." I looked at my family one more time. Dad, the successful investment banker who'd built his reputation on calculated risks. Mom, who'd married him for his money and spent 30 years perfecting the art of looking down on people. Jessica, who'd never worked a day in her life but somehow felt qualified to judge everyone else's choices. "Understood," I said simply. The word hung in the air. They'd expected tears, arguments, pleading. Instead I gave them nothing. "Good," Dad said, clearly pleased with himself. "Now you can focus on finding someone more appropriate. Someone who won't embarrass the family," Mom added. I nodded and walked toward the door. "Emma," Jessica called out. "Don't be dramatic about this. It's for your own good." I paused with my hand on the doorknob. "I'm not being dramatic. I'm being practical." And I left. The drive back to my apartment was surreal. 23 years old, MBA from Northwestern, secretly running a hospitality empire worth $2.8 billion. And my parents had just canceled my wedding because they thought I couldn't afford it. The irony was breathtaking. I'd built Phoenix Hospitality Group from nothing, starting with a single property I'd purchased at 19 with money I'd made developing apps in college. 4 years later, I owned 17 luxury venues across 3 states, including the Grandmont Estate, the exact venue where my wedding was supposed to take place. My parents had no idea their daughter owned the most exclusive wedding venue in the city. They thought I was just another struggling graduate living paycheck to paycheck. I'd let them think that. It was easier than explaining how I'd turned a coding hobby into a tech company, sold it for $12 million, and immediately invested everything into real estate. Easier than describing the 18-hour days I'd worked to build something from scratch while they assumed I was just figuring things out. But now they'd crossed a line. I pulled into my apartment complex and sat in my car for a moment, thinking. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Hey babe, just confirmed final headcount with the caterer. 127 guests. Can't wait to marry you in 3 weeks. Red heart." My heart broke a little. Marcus had no idea what had just happened. He was probably at his office right now, excited about our future, completely unaware that my family had just blown up our wedding. I needed to call him, but first I had a few other calls to make. I dialed my assistant's number. "Sarah, it's Emma. I need you to pull the Grandmont contracts immediately." "The Grandmont Estate? Your wedding venue?" "Yes. And I need you to review the cancellation policies we have in place for deposits." There was a pause. "Emma, is everything okay?" "Everything's fine. I just need to understand our options for unusual circumstances." "Of course. I'll have everything ready in an hour." "Thank you." My next call was to my head of legal. "David, it's Emma. Hypothetical question. If someone canceled a booking at one of our venues using forged authorization, what would our legal recourse be?" "Well, that would be fraud. We'd be looking at potential criminal charges, plus civil damages." "Why?" "Just curious about our protections. Can you send me the specific statutes?" "Absolutely." "Emma, you sound stressed. Is Phoenix Hospitality facing some kind of legal challenge?" "Nothing like that. Just being thorough." After I hung up, I sat in my car and allowed myself exactly 60 seconds to feel the full weight of what had happened. The betrayal, the humiliation, the casual cruelty of people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. Then I got out of the car and went upstairs to plan my response. The next morning I was reviewing property reports when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Emma." "Emma, what the hell is going on?" It was Dad, and he was screaming. "Good morning to you too," I said calmly. "The venue just called me. They're saying they can't refund our deposits because the owner, personally canceled our refund. They're saying you canceled it." I took a sip of my coffee. "That's interesting." "Interesting? Emma, this is $7,500 we're talking about. They're saying the owner specifically requested that the Martinez family receive no refund under any circumstances." Don't me. What did you do? Did you call them and complain? Did you cause some kind of scene?" "I didn't cause any scene, Dad." "Then why are they saying this?" The venue manager kept talking about direct orders from ownership and non-negotiable policies, and, "Emma, what the hell did you tell them?" I leaned back in my chair. Through my office window, I could see the Grandmont Estate in the distance, its elegant grounds sprawling across 40 acres of pristine lakefront property. "I didn't tell them anything they didn't already know," I said. "That's not an answer. Emma, you need to fix this right now. Call them back and straighten this out." "I don't think I can do that." "What do you mean you can't?" "The owner's decision is final." There was a long pause. "Emma, how do you know what the owner decided?" "Lucky guess." "This isn't funny. We need that money back. Do you have any idea how much $7,500 is?" I almost laughed. Dad was having a breakdown over $7,500 while sitting 3 miles away from my corporate headquarters, where I'd signed a $340 million acquisition deal just last week. "It's probably not that much money to the owner," I said. "I imagine they make that in about 6 minutes." "Emma, what are you talking about? How could you possibly know?" His voice cut off abruptly. "Dad? You still there?" Emma. His voice had changed. Quieter now, uncertain. Emma, what's the name of the company that owns the Grandmont estate? Why do you ask? Just tell me. Phoenix Hospitality Group. Silence. Dad. Emma. Emma, what's your last name? Legally, it's still Martinez. But professionally, I go by Emma Phoenix. The phone was so quiet I thought he'd hung up. Dad, are you? Emma Phoenix? You're Emma Phoenix. That's right. The Emma Phoenix? The one who owns, who built. Oh my God. Oh my God. I heard him calling to Mom in the background. Margaret. Margaret, get in here right now. What's wrong, Richard? Mom's voice was distant but audible. Emma's Emma Phoenix. What are you talking about? Emma Phoenix. The businesswoman. The one who bought the Riverside Mall. The one who owns half the venues in the city. That's our Emma. I heard Mom gasp. Emma. Dad's voice was back, shaky now. Emma, sweetheart, there's been a misunderstanding. Has there? Yes. A huge misunderstanding. We had no idea you were so successful. Why didn't you tell us? You never asked. But Emma, we assumed. You assumed I was a failure. Not a failure. Just struggling. Like most people your age. Most people my age don't own $2.8 billion in real estate assets. I heard something crash in the background. Probably Mom fainting. Emma, listen to me very carefully. Dad's voice had shifted into his business mode. We can fix this. We can call the venue back and... The venue you already canceled? Yes, we can uncancel it. We can reinstate everything. The whole wedding. With what money? What do you mean? Well, you said you couldn't afford it. That it was beyond your means. That I needed to find someone who could afford me. Emma, that was before we knew. Before you knew I could pay for it myself? Yes. Exactly. I stood up and walked to my window. Down below, I could see the Grandmont Estates event coordinator setting up for a corporate retreat. My corporate retreat. Dad, let me ask you something. If I were still just regular Emma, living in my apartment and driving my old Honda, would you have reconsidered? Pause. Would you have called me this morning and said, you know what, Emma? We were wrong. We love you and want you to be happy regardless of money? Longer pause. Emma. Would you have apologized for humiliating me in front of Mom and Jessica? For canceling the most important day of my life without even discussing it with me first? Emma, please. The answer is no, Dad. You would have let me stay heartbroken and weddingless, and you would have felt good about it. Responsible. Like you taught me a valuable lesson about living within my means. That's not. We were trying to help. You were trying to control me. Just like you've always done. I heard Mom's voice in the background. Give me the phone. Emma, honey, it's Mom. Sweetheart, there's been a terrible miscommunication here. Has there? Yes. We had no idea about your business success. We're so proud of you. Are you proud of the business or proud of the money? Both. Emma, you're our daughter. We've always been proud. Yesterday you told me to find someone who could afford me. What changed? Well, now we know that I can afford myself? Silence. Mom, let me save you some time. I'm not reinstating the wedding. I'm not giving you your deposits back. And I'm not pretending this conversation never happened. Emma, you're being unreasonable. I'm being exactly as reasonable as you were yesterday. I heard Jessica's voice in the background. Is she serious? She's actually not giving us the money back. Put Jessica on the phone, I said. Emma, I don't think. Put her on. Fine. Here's Jessica. Hey, Emma. Jessica's voice was carefully neutral. So, this is weird. Hi, Jess. I had no idea you were like... rich. Rich. I'm comfortable. Comfortable? Emma, you own half the city. Not half. Maybe 30%. This is insane. Why didn't you ever say anything? Would it have mattered? What do you mean? Yesterday you recorded my fiancé throwing my keys in a lake and posted it on social media. You called my wedding plans stupid and said I was wasting money on excessive things. Would you have done that if you'd known I was wealthy? Well, no, probably not. So you're only nice to people who have money? That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant, Jess. You treated me like garbage because you thought I was poor. Now you want to be best friends because you found out I'm rich. Emma, come on. How many social media posts did you make mocking my cheap lifestyle? Pause. Emma. How many times did you joke about my car, my apartment, my job? That was just sister stuff. Put Dad back on. Emma, wait. Put him on. Dad's voice returned, subdued now. Emma, we need to talk about this face to face. No, we don't. Yes, we do. Your family. This is family business. Family doesn't cancel each other's weddings out of spite. It wasn't spite. We genuinely thought. He thought wrong. About everything. I heard him take a deep breath. Emma, what do you want? What will it take to fix this? There's nothing to fix, Dad. You made your position clear. I'm just respecting it. Our position was based on incomplete information. Your position was based on the assumption that I was worthless. Now that you know I'm not, you want to change the rules. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Having your parents cancel your wedding because they think you're not good enough for their standards. Emma, please. I have to go. I have a board meeting. Emma, wait. What about Marcus? What about your wedding? I smiled. What about it? Are you still getting married? Of course. Where? Same place. Same date. Same time. But how can you? We canceled everything. You canceled the booking that was in your name. You never had any authority over the booking in mine. Silence. There are 2 contracts for the Grandmont estate on September 15th, I explained. The one you signed as the paying party and the one I signed as the property owner. You canceled yours. Mine is still active. You mean? I mean my wedding is happening exactly as planned. The only difference is that you're not invited. Emma. And neither is Mom. Or Jessica. You can't uninvite your family from your wedding. Watch me. I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. I turned it off. An hour later, Sarah knocked on my office door. Emma, there are some people here to see you. They say they're your family. I looked up from my laptop. Tell security to escort them off the property. Are you sure? Positive. 20 minutes after that, my personal phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Babe, your dad just called me. He's very upset. He says there's been some kind of family emergency about the wedding. Should I be worried? I called him immediately. Marcus, hi. Emma, what's going on? Your dad sounded like he was having a breakdown. It's a long story. Can you come over tonight? I need to tell you something. Of course. Are you okay? I'm better than okay. I'll explain everything. That evening I told Marcus the whole story. About Phoenix Hospitality Group. About the $2.8 billion empire I'd built in secret. About my family's betrayal and their frantic attempts to backtrack once they learned the truth. He listened without interrupting, his expression cycling through confusion, amazement, and finally anger. They canceled our wedding because they thought you were poor? He said finally. Essentially, yes. And now they want back in because they found out you're wealthy? That's the general idea. He shook his head. Emma, that's horrible. I'm sorry I never told you about the business. I wanted to be sure you loved me for me, not for what I could provide. Are you kidding? I'm not upset about the money. I'm upset about how they treated you. He took my hands. Emma, you're getting married in 3 weeks. You should have your family there. They made their choice. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, Marcus. This was who they really are when they think no one important is watching. He was quiet for a moment. What do you want to do? I want to marry you at the Grandmont estate, surrounded by people who actually care about us. I want to start our life together without the toxic influence of people who only value me when I can benefit them. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. The next morning I drafted a formal letter to my family. It was delivered by courier at 9 a.m. sharp. Dear Dad, Mom, and Jessica. Thank you for clarifying your feelings about my life choices and my value as a family member. Your decision to cancel my wedding without consultation has saved me years of wondering whether you truly supported my happiness or simply tolerated it when convenient. Please consider this my formal notice that you are no longer invited to participate in my wedding or any future life events. This decision is final and non-negotiable. For the record, I built Phoenix Hospitality Group from nothing while living in that tiny apartment you all mocked. I worked 18-hour days for 4 years to create something meaningful while you assumed I was simply failing to meet your standards. The fact that you now want to celebrate my success, after trying to sabotage my happiness, tells me everything I need to know about your character. Marcus and I will be married as planned on September 15th. We will build our life together surrounded by people who value integrity over wealth and love over status. I wish you well in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Emma Phoenix, CEO, Phoenix Hospitality Group. The wedding was perfect. Marcus and I exchanged vows on the terrace overlooking the lake, surrounded by 127 people who genuinely cared about our future. My college roommate Sarah served as maid of honor. Marcus's brother Jake was his best man. The flowers were exactly what I'd dreamed of, white roses and baby's breath that reminded me of my grandmother's garden. During the reception, as I danced with my new husband under lights strung between ancient oak trees, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years around my family: pure, uncomplicated joy. My phone, tucked away in the bridal suite, had 47 missed calls and 23 voicemails from various family members. I deleted them all without listening. 6 months later, I received a formal apology letter from Dad. It was 3 pages long and mentioned my impressive business acumen 14 times. He requested a meeting to discuss our family's future relationship. I sent back a single sentence: "Some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt." A year after that, Jessica reached out through LinkedIn, asking if Phoenix Hospitality Group had any entry-level marketing positions available. The message included a lengthy explanation about how much she'd grown as a person, and how sorry she was for not recognizing my incredible achievements sooner. I forwarded her resume to our HR department with a note: "Please file under Do Not Hire." Today Marcus and I live in a beautiful home overlooking the lake, about 10 minutes from the Grandmont estate. We host dinner parties for friends who knew us when we were just a nonprofit worker and a girl with a laptop, building dreams in a tiny apartment. Sometimes I'll drive past my parents' house on the way to a business meeting. Their cars are older now, their lawn less perfectly maintained. I've heard through mutual acquaintances that Dad's investment firm has struggled since the market downturn. Mom has started working part-time at a boutique. I feel no satisfaction in their struggles, but I feel no guilt about their absence from my life either. They taught me an invaluable lesson about unconditional love. It's only unconditional if it doesn't depend on your bank account, your career success, or your ability to meet someone else's definition of worth. My wedding was exactly the circus they said it was: a beautiful, joyful celebration of 2 people who chose each other without conditions. And I paid for every penny of it myself.